is not great. It's a failed Hail Mary that left us wondering what happened. Now it's time to go deep. We'll do our best to lob you some sensible answers about what went wrong with this bad movie. You may recall that we recently did a rundown video on him and waxed on about why we thought it looked like a promising new offering from Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions.
Let's play a little catch. We going to the land!
It looked interesting. The notion of mashing sports and horror together was a concept that truly intrigued us. It looked beautiful, like it was going to be jam-packed with colorful, creative cinematography. It looked like it was going to explore a wide range of topical themes. We were stoked to see Marlon Wayans make a return to more serious material after spending the majority of his career goofing off in the realm of comedy. We were hopeful that they purposely withheld the best stuff from the trailer, in much the same way they did for Weapons. And the fact that it was a blacklist script really made us believe that Jordan Peele stumbled upon something great and gave his crew all the tools they needed to run the thing in for a touchdown. Well, turns out we, were a bit too optimistic. Okay, fine, we were way too optimistic. Him is actually a major disappointment in almost every way. So the question we're here to answer is, how did this promising idea end up doinking the goalpost and losing the game? A lot of reviews agree the premise really does seem rad. The movie follows Cameron Cade, an up-and-coming college quarterback who gets a chance to train with Isaiah White, the current NFL GOAT who Cade has been idolizing since he was a kid.
I damn near worship you growing up. Who are you?
I'm him!
Who are you?
I'm him! Manta!
Everything takes place at White's secluded compound, and it doesn't take long for Cade to realize that something definitely isn't right. There's masochism disguised as training. There's a legion of fanatical fans camped out beyond the compound's walls. There's Julia Fox dressed in whatever that is. There's sci-fi pods, pentagrams, and seemingly all sorts of weird debauchery. Ultimately, what begins as a dream come true for Cade slowly but surely becomes a nightmare.
And how bad does Cameron Cade want it?
The trailer left us, and a ton of other people, wanting to know more. What's going on beneath the surface? What does this movie have to say? What horrifying things did they save for us to scream at in theaters? The truth is, they kinda had nothing. Because despite what Peele and the gang led us to believe, him is hardly a horror movie. Yes, it has disturbing imagery, over-the-top violence, and a couple sort of jump scares. But it doesn't have anyone covering their eyes in terror or leaping out of their seats. It doesn't haunt you on your way back to the parking lot. Him is more of a psychological thriller than anything else, but not the good kind that ratchets up the suspense in any sort of satisfying way. This is no Jacob's Ladder. Instead, the only reason we look away from the screen is to check what time it is and wonder how much of it is left.
This ain't a game, man. This is everything.
Watching him, you may have felt a powerful sensation that you've seen this before. In a lot of ways, you probably have. Him is structurally what you could call a spiderweb movie. As William Bibbiani's review in The Wrap describes that subgenre, they're about an oblivious protagonist or group of protagonists who get invited to the middle of nowhere, hang out in a village or compound full of cultists, willingly hand over their phones for obviously suspicious reasons, and wander around for most of the movie trying to figure out if anything scary is going on. We've seen this in The Wicker Man, The Menu, Blink Twice, Opus, and of course, Get Out. It's a rich tradition that we're becoming pretty tired of. It only works when the filmmakers are able to make you feel like you're one of the oblivious protagonists instead of some sap sitting in a comfy movie theater. What starts as simple unease needs to build up slowly into a terror that can't be contained. In Him, the build-up to the big third act is just boring. It's mostly because of the way it's laid out. The movie is cross-sectioned into days, day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. This sort of thing honestly works better in dramas that revolve around character development instead of the slow unraveling of a mysterious plot. 2004's Sideways is a good example of a movie that benefits from this sort of structure. It's a banal disaster when it comes to Him. By the time we're only halfway through the week, we just don't care anymore. We just want to get to that big reveal and see if all of our suffering has actually been worth it. When that big reveal finally comes, it's a letdown in every sense of the word. We're not going to just give it away. We will, however, let you know that pretty much every promise the trailers made is broken by the time the credits roll. This is because they just weren't able to deliver on all the big ideas they teased. From the get-go, it was obvious they were going to explore a wide range of themes: race, masculinity, violence, fame, generational trauma, the sacrifices athletes make to reach to the top, you name it.
Then what are you willing to sacrifice?
But despite all that, the movie resolves in a big shrug. The whole thing falls flat like a receiver who can't catch a perfectly thrown pass. Why? As Jake Coyle of the Associated Press put it, if the issue of some thrillers is that they have nothing to say, the problem with him is that it has exactly one thing to say, which it does again and again and again. What is that one thing it's trying to say? As far as we can tell, it's that sacrificing everything to become the GOAT probably isn't worth it. That's pretty much it. They honestly probably could have gotten the point across much more effectively in a 15-minute short. It actually reminds us of a similar film that went severely south with critics a few years ago, Antebellum. You might remember this one. This movie also got advertised like Jordan Peele directed it. It also had some heavy themes about the brutality of slavery and the evils of racism. The entire movie is pressing a message of this is really bad for 90 minutes, but with no intrigue, no mystery, and not much in the way of character or perspective to make that message land. Like him, it also had a trailer that implied a horror movie with a lot of substance, but instead, both movies were tedious and alienating, with big points to make that you pretty much didn't need explained. We're not here to completely ignore the few things about him that actually work. The most obvious of those things is Marlon Wayans. The dude did show up. He did try his very best to get in the zone and become Isaiah White.
Now we playing some football!
And we expected nothing less from him. We knew he was capable of it. You don't just blow people's minds in movies like Requiem for a Dream and then totally forget how to act. He was definitely able to tap back into his creative reserves for him, and we give him credit for trying to hold the whole thing together. Tyreek Withers, who plays Cameron Cade, did everything he could as well. Reviews aren't giving him a ton of credit, but his terror is believable, and we're occasionally able to sympathize with him as he's experiencing the madness inside of White's training compound. It's the writing that lets him down, and the whole movie lets down the striking cinematography, which is really what made people notice this movie in the first place. Shot by Keira Kelly, many individual moments in him really do look outstanding. It's far from a bad-looking movie, it's just the definition of style over substance. If this thing was a music video instead of a horror movie, we might have had something. Speaking of people who thought they might have had something, it's hard not to imagine what Jordan Peele is thinking right now. The reviews are in, they're bad, the box office could be better, and his name is all over this thing. We're not quite at rise and fall territory yet, but this is definitely a critical moment for Peele's career. Think about his reputation. The guy has mostly been killing it throughout his short but incredible run. He won an Oscar for Get Out, Us proved he was immune to the sophomore slump, and he managed to subvert pretty much everyone's expectations in the best ways possible with Nope. So having something flop this hard with his name that bold on the poster can't be sitting too well with him. A ton of people still mistakenly think he wrote and directed this one instead of just producing it. No matter how much he might end up trying to distance himself from him, his name will forever be attached to it. It might be time to talk to the marketing team about the wisdom of this tactic. So what does this low-key fiasco mean for Peele's future projects? Maybe nothing, but it does feel like the pressure's on. Only a few weeks ago, Universal Pictures announced that Peele's newest film, a follow-up to Nope, was removed from the 2026 release calendar. It was a move many analysts took as a sign that he's having trouble cracking a follow-up. Maybe having second thoughts about a project he thought was good to go. That's usually not a good sign. Filmmaking takes confidence, and a giant miss like him shakes confidence. Whether Peele likes it or not, he can't afford to whiff on his fourth movie, partly because too many people are going to think that him was it.
I think something's off.
So what do we make of this oddball misfire? Is this good enough for a bad movie night? Not really. It's interesting, an ambitious misfire, but it definitely ain't good. There are just too many missing pieces, too many moments of disconnect that don't serve the initial vision that inspired it. What's with the weird mascot that pops up here and there throughout the film? Why is Julia Fox dressed like that? What exactly is being injected into Cade? Why is that awesome shot in the trailer, you know, the one where Cade holds his arms out while he's covered in blood, not even in the final cut of the movie? With the exception of the late great David Lynch and a scant handful of other filmmakers, the truth is that most people just can't make dreamlike stuff like this work on the big screen. They aren't able to balance style with the necessary amount of substance. Him, unfortunately, is a glaring example of this sort of failure. After all that effort, him just ain't it.